What is going on, my crazy 76er fanatics? Guys, thanks for stopping back in for another daily pod with your daily 76ers discourse and discussion. The likers, the watchers, the commenters, and especially the subscribers. Thank you guys so much for helping this conversation continue to flow, helping the channel continue to grow, and keeping the Sixers discourse as fun and as fluid as possible, guys. We got to talk about these back-to-backs because the Sixers just lost two back-to-back games, and this being the first Sixer stint on a back-to-back playing 2 days consecutively. And realistically, guys, you're going to have a huge problem with this team on back-to-backs this season. How are they going to win those games, and how many of those games do they actually walk away with the W from? I'm not necessarily sure. I know in the early onset part of the season, I know from November, December, and January, you're going to have to question who's even on the court and who's even going to be available for those back-to-back situations because you expect Joel Embiid to be sitting those, I guess, for the remainder of his career. The way Paul George's health is being managed and the way it's being looked at, I expect him to sit those games out as well. Jared McCain already getting the sit on a back-to-back and early on in his career. Maybe Jared McCain also gets the same treatment and the same management as Paul George, as Joel Embiid. So with that being said, if any more injuries do occur throughout the season, which fingers crossed they don't, but if you know Philadelphia, they are expected to happen, you're going to hope that the back-to-backs are managed at an exceptional rate. You're going to hope that this team, who is tied for 16 of those games, can maybe walk away with 7. 7 for 9 for Philadelphia isn't bad because you got to understand that in most of these instances, they're going to be outmanned, outgunned, and then once the game starts, probably outmatched because the talent's not going to be there. But one thing I am going to have a problem with, and this is what I want to talk about, how are they going to win back-to-backs? Who are they going to play in the instances, and how are they going to build chemistry, comfortability, and consistency for this team with not only their current roster construction, but with their current lineups, guys? Because Quinton Grimes is doing great with the time that has been given. And Quinton Grimes has been doing great with the role that he's currently playing. But is there a better option? Is there a better option? I wanted to ask the not only the people out there, is Quinton Grimes truly helping this team, or is Quinton Grimes' role hurting the team? Because yeah, he's able to score 20 points in consecutive games, and he may be able to be a 20-point per game scorer on a nightly basis. But that three ball is not falling. That three ball is not falling the way you want it to. And the guy has been a turnover merchant. And just listen to these stats. In his last 3 games, he's had 4 turnovers individually by himself in those last 3 games. That's 12 turnovers in 3 games. I'm loving the 20-point outputs, okay? I'm loving the fact that he's scoring 20. He's putting up the shots. He's getting to the rim a little bit. Hopefully his free throw percentage can stay consistent because you know Quinton Grimes, when the pressure is on, sometimes those free throws are looking off. But with the way this team is currently constructed, again, with the players they have on this squad, is Quinton Grimes truly helping this team or hurting this team? Because 12 turnovers is kind of ridiculous, guys. 12 turnovers in the last 3 games is kind of ridiculous. And the defensive stops and the defensive chops that we have praised Quinton Grimes on having and being a real reliable defender, Donovan Mitchell gave out 46. Donovan Mitchell gave out not only an inspired 46, but he commanded 46. He went into that game with an initiative that he was going to do what he wants, takes the shots that he wants, and gives this team hell. And that's exactly what he did. So when you look at this squad and when you look at the current roster construction and the roles there, is Quinton Grimes helping this team? Is Quinton Grimes hurting this team? He's doing definitely a little bit of both. I just don't think Nick Nurse understands that the point guard position and the point guard role probably should be in Maxi's hands, and then you're definitely going to have to find another option. VJ Edgecombe's either going to have to grow and identify not only his consistent play style, but who he identifies as an on-court and on-ball player. Because is he going to be a point guard? Is he going to be a shooting guard? Is he going to be a floor spacer? One thing Nick Nurse is going to have to learn, and one thing Nick Nurse is going to have to do, he's going to have to throw this roster out there. He's going to have to throw this lineup out there. Because I don't know what you guys see right here, but I see 3 potential point guards to figure out who's going to back up Maxey. 12 turnovers in 3 games is a doggone shame. And some may say, in the losses to Chicago and in the losses to Boston and to Cleveland, this guy with 10-plus turnovers could be the reason your team is losing. I think this would be a perfect audition. Not only do you get to see, does Jared McCain play great around Joel Embiid? Is Quinton Grimes the better point guard option than Jared McCain? You also get to see a battle that we need to see a battle between in Kelly Oubre and Trenton Wofford, because when Paul George comes back, those Kelly Oubre minutes, Kelly Oubre is 4th in the NBA in minutes, Tyrese Maxey is 1st, and VJ Edgecombe is 2nd. This team definitely needs to have a more equitable and more consistent minute share throughout the season so these players aren't run through the ground. This lineup is so important. This lineup is going to be paramount to this team's future success, because you're going to figure out not only is Jared McCain versus Quinton Grimes that matchup battle, that positional battle, who's the better option for this squad? And maybe is Jared McCain better off at playing true point guard and allowing Quinton Grimes to playing true shooting guard? What's going to happen there? Or does Trenton Wofford take Kelly Oubre's minutes? Does Trenton Wofford take Kelly Oubre's minutes? Because this team has so much depth. And one thing they need is a second ball handler on the court, I think, at all times. I love Maxey with the ball in his hands, but I think I prefer him without the ball, off of the ball, shooting the ball, catching and shooting, coming off screens, and then attacking the rim. Maxey can score at will and do anything there. But bring the ball up 90 feet, exhausting him, I don't want to see that, and I don't think we need that. I don't think that's the best for the team's success. Preserving Maxey's energy, preserving his legs, and allowing him, again, to be off the ball and a scoring guard first, I think allows him to be the best Maxey he's known to be. Because he's still going to get those assists. He's still going to command the double teams. He's still going to command the crazy closeouts and crash outs from the defense, so that he still can kick the ball and find the open man. Plus, the 2-man game between him and Joel is still as consistent and still as efficient as you would like it to be a championship team. So you definitely need a second ball handler out there. And we're going to show the graphic again. Kelly Oubre versus Trenton Wofford. That may be the more important positional battle than Quinton Grimes and Jared McCain, because who is this team going to trade, guys? A plethora of riches and an overhaul of talent this team may have at its disposal right now. And I want everyone to know this right now. Justin Edwards has been playing Sixer basketball. And I've been stopping myself from clawing my eyes out and sending the nastiest email to the Sixers front office and on any Google reviews they have, because Justin Edwards should not be out there, respectfully. But realistically, those Justin Edwards minutes are just Paul George or Kelly Oubre stints. Those Justin Edwards minutes will be replaced with Trenton Wofford, Kelly Oubre, and the collection of Paul George. So for Sixer fans who are like, this guy, Justin Edwards, just can't find a consistent point and for his gameplay and for his output, that's Paul George, okay? Any bad shot Justin Edwards takes, that's Paul George. Anytime Justin Edwards decides to backpedal to the three-point line and take a questionable catch-and-shoot shot where we're not sure why we're giving it to him, that's Paul George's shot. Anytime you see Justin Edwards out there guarding Donovan Mitchell, potentially guarding the best player, and it's not working. It might be working when that's Paul George, guys. So don't worry about those minutes for Justin Edwards, but do worry about who's going to be playing with Joel, who's going to be playing with PG, and who's going to be playing off of Tyrese Maxey. There are a few players that potentially can fill that role. It's Wofford, it's Grimes, it's McCain, it's Oubre, but one of those guys will probably be traded. Realistically. Realistically, you don't put Bob Myers to see the future endeavors of this team and to green light and to communicate all potential transactions if you don't want Bob Myers to do what Bob Myers does. And I personally think that would be not only setting this team for a win now contention, because this team definitely has win now aspirations. Those first 5 games and first 6 games were not a fluke. Not at all. Those last 2 games definitely, I think, were more incidental than anything compared to what's been happening this season. You did see what this team will be without Joel. Okay? That game against Cleveland, you can say it was the back-to-back. You can say it was tired legs, but realistically, I think that's what this team is going to be without Joel, and if Paul George is never going to be what Paul George is, what you paid for him to be. Outside of that, guys, Bob Myers is going to have to make some pieces, some phone calls, because there are teams out there that have no hopes of winning, but have some of the best players in the NBA just rotting away. The Lauri Markkanens of the league. Okay, Paul George for Lauri Markkanen is a trade that can be made. If Paul George isn't playing like PG, that is a trade that can be made. Simon Fontecchio for the Miami Heat, obviously not right now, is a trade that can't be made because he was just acquired from Miami. But somewhere in January, somewhere in February, why not trade for Simon Fontecchio and really shore up a floor spacing floor? A cheaper floor spacing floor option, Simon Fontecchio, could be perfect. Again, guys, Jared McCain, I think, could be the future of this squad. But if Quentin Grimes continues to score 20 and he can limit the turnovers, because that's the problem. You can give me 20 points, but if you're giving the opposing team 10 to 12, you're really only giving me 10. You're making up for the mistakes you're already putting out there. So again, guys, these turnovers are a huge problem. I would like to see if Jared McCain can potentially take over that backup point guard role. If it's not Jared McCain, it's going to be Trenton Wofford. And if it is Trenton Wofford, what does that do to Kelly Oubre, who's having a career year? Okay, what does that do to Kelly Oubre, who's having a career year? Because the lineups that this team has, it is a plethora of depth. But if Kelly Oubre continues to have this career year and Paul George is going to play like Paul George, you're going to have to throw out those bigger lineups, not the four-guarded lineups and the four-guarded lineups that Nick Nurse planned in the summer. You're going to have to throw those out the window. You're going to have to play Joel. You're going to have to play PG. You're going to have to play Kelly. You may have to play Trenton Wofford for another point guard option. And defensively, that lineup sounds great. And then you put Tyrese Maxey out there. Kelly Oubre shooting the three-point shot at 40%. Paul George will shoot the three-point shot at 40%. Trenton Wofford hopefully doesn't have to shoot a three-point shot. He can just facilitate. And then you have Joel. And then you have Tyrese Maxey. That may be the best lineup for this team. This team has so much depth that I think it would only make sense to not only give this team a clearer vision, a clearer outlook, and a clearer chance at setting up some lineups for Nick Nurse, because this is so much talent. This is so many options. That may be the downfall for this team, truthfully. That may be the downfall for this team. They may not know which lineups to throw out there for floor spacing because you have so many options. I mean, VJ Edgecombe has to be out there. I think Quentin Grimes has to be out there. But I also argue that Jared McCain has to be out there. And if one of these guys are not going to be out there, I think they should be out of Philadelphia as well. There's no point in wasting an asset. All of these guys have first-round pick potential in any trade negotiation. All of these guys have potential warranted of a B+ to A+ return on the trade market. I don't think it makes any sense to not put all of these guys out there, or at least put their names out there in the trade market. So it's going to happen, okay? Simon Fontecchio would be great. Lauri Markkanen would be a perfect piece for this team, especially if Paul George is playing older and slower than you need him to. Guys, like, comment, and subscribe. We got more daily videos and more daily discussion. Did you leave a comment? Okay, did you leave a comment? Because this can only continue. We can only keep the channel to grow and keep the conversation afloat if you leave a comment, guys. We got to talk about depth. We got to talk about Grimes. Some people love him, okay? And I'm sure this is going to be a very spicy topic in the comments. You think Grimes is playing bad? He's the only one helping Maxey. When you have Paul George, when you have Jared McCain, and you have Kelly playing the way Kelly's playing, we could have a lot of players helping Maxey, okay? Realistically, this team has a lot of players with the potential to help Maxey when it's at full strength. What you don't need is someone hurting the squad with 4 turnovers, because the turnovers are happening in the second half. The turnovers are happening in high-pressure moments. And the free throws from Grimes, guys, his free throw percentage in 2 out of these last 3 games has been 67%. So for a shooter, it's kind of atrocious. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you feel, and tell me if you're loving Grimes.